Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda,
Jai Shri Krishna
Hare Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda,
Nityananda,
Radhe Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Tusi Radhe Golokananda Bhagwan ki
Jai Shri Giriraj ki Jai.
Kartik Vrata ki Jai, starting tomorrow.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
1 month.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess we're not starting 19. Yeah.
You may want
Yeah.
to read the 18th verse, just the verse.
Let's read just the verse 18 English as a kind of introduction. Oh, Janardhan, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. And now Krishna replies and begins to give.
I think we're going to read the first paragraph.
Why don't you read? You want to read?
Yes, I'm going to read the first paragraph of the purport to this verse 18 because it sets the scene to everything that is following. A similar statement was made was made to Sutta Goswami by the rishis of Naimisharanya, headed by Shanaka. That statement is, Vayam tu na vitripyama uttama shloka vikrame yachrimvatam rasagyanam swadu swadu pade pade. One can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish at every step the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. So how important it is, and that's one thing that we were talking about at the very end, to hear the transcendental pastimes of Sri Krishna. Very purifying, and then opens so many doors, the hearing and the chanting.
So we'll start 19 for today. Krishna will begin speaking.
Sri Bhagwanu Vacha Hantite Kathayishyami Divyaratma Vibhutayah Pradhanyatah Kuru Shreshta Nasatyanto Vistarashyame. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent. O Arjun, for my opulence is limitless.
Just as an aside here, we know that Sheshanaga, he speaks the glories of the Lord with unlimited mouths for unlimited time and never reaches an end. Okay, the purport. It is not possible to comprehend the greatness of Krishna and his opulences. The senses of the individual soul are limited and do not permit him to understand the totality of Krishna's affairs. Still, the devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so relishable that they appear to the devotees as nectar. We'll hear this a few times, this nectar. Thus, the devotees enjoy them. In discussing Krishna's opulences and his diverse energies, the pure devotees take transcendental pleasure. Therefore, they want to hear and discuss them.
Mataji?
Krishna.
Krishna knows that living entities do not understand the extent of his opulences. He therefore agrees to state only the principal manifestations of his different energies. The word pradhanyantaha, principle, is very important because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord, for his features are unlimited. It is not possible to understand them all. And vibhuti, as used in this verse, refers to the opulences by which he controls the whole manifestation. In the Amarakosha dictionary, it is stated that vibhuti indicates an exceptional opulence.
Kavita Mataji?
The impersonalist or pantheist cannot understand the exceptional opulences of the Supreme Lord, nor the manifestations of his divine energies, both in the material world and the spiritual world. His energies are distributed in every variety of manifestation. Now, Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. Thus, part of his variegated energy is described in this way. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, an important word in this verse is vibhuti. It's vibhutaya in the actual verse itself, which means personal opulences. And I was thinking when I heard this word vibhuti that there have been some so-called yogis who have produced ashes or some other substances from their hands, supposedly, and they call those vibhutis. So Krishna's vibhutis aren't ashes. There are some very special vibhutis which we will read about, and there's certainly more than ashes or apples or whatever these kind of things that these so-called great yogis could produce, and they may not even actually produce them. It's been said that they did tricks, but even if they didn't do tricks, who cares really for some ashes? Are there any questions or comments about this interesting first part of the of Krishna's speaking here in the 10th chapter?
Yeah, that vibhuti Prabhuji is basically once they do the havan, right? So after the havan is done and whatever is left, so because the havan is being done, so that remaining ash is a pure one. So that's why that is called vibhuti. So it just
I think I was speaking about somebody else. I was speaking about Satya Sai Baba and people like that who were producing ashes out of their hands.
But the vibhuti itself is that's what it means. Yeah.
There may be a bona fide one from the Havan, but I was speaking about these so-called yogis who can produce things out of their hands.
Other meaning of vibhuti, which is this chapter is the vibhutis of Krishna, is the extreme supreme opulence of the Supreme Lord. So vibhuti refers to opulence, and Srila Prabhupada explains that in the dictionary, Kosha, where is it? Amarakosh dictionary, the word vibhuti means opulence. So that's what we're looking at, opulence, extreme power, extreme opulence.
Another principle mentioned here is the fact that devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so relishable that they appear to the devotees as nectar. Hearing about Krishna, thus the devotees enjoy them. Hearing about Krishna is a great and wonderful activity that will ultimately bring us to a platform of pure Krishna consciousness. It's Amrita.
Yeah, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhuji, we are also going through like Bhishma Stuti right now. So how Bhishma Pitama is doing the Stuti of Lord Krishna. And
Yes,
so that's,
chapter.
that's like a nectar.
Any other comment? Yeah, nectar.
Yes.
One important thing here is that it says that the living entities do not understand the extent of his opulences. So it's important that, like this, we have to understand we can understand some principle, manifestations, but I don't think we are capable of understanding without knowledge his whole opulences. And so that's an important thing here, it says that.
And also how his opulences are unlimited.
Yep.
So they can never be fully described. But we don't have the capacity to understand. It's just a few things. And it is said at the very end that Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. It was explained last week that now he's going to be talking in terms that people can follow and understand readily. And in this way, learn how to see Krishna in everything, in all his manifestations, for progress towards spiritual life.
There is an interesting point that one Christian made, and he made this point that if we demand absolute knowledge of the Lord, because we won't really believe him or trust him unless we know absolutely everything about him, then that defies the actual understanding of faith. Faith means to understand God, Krishna, even though we know we can't really understand him. Not that we have to, have a 100, we need it written down like a contract, that this is what he is and this is what he is. No, we understand that Krishna reveals to us whatever he wants at whatever time he wants, and that's okay. It's not us is getting this. It's coming from Krishna. He enlightens us. Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. Yes, good point. The common man can see the Himalayas. Common man can see these different aspects of the truth. Yeah. And I think it's also important to note the beginning of that paragraph, the impersonalists and the pantheists cannot understand because they have limited knowledge. And of course, the impersonalist doesn't believe that the form of the Supreme Lord is really transcendental. And the pantheist just thinks that Krishna is just one of so many gods. They're all the same. Madhavji, any questions or comments?
Yeah, on this subject matter, actually, about his opulence, of course, we know Krishna has 64 qualities and 4 are very unique, which is not in any one of those Vishnu form, right? Any of those, Lord Ram or anyone. So, and it talks about, actually, we were just doing this nectar of devotion, and then one of that unique quality, exquisite beauty. Of course, he's most beautiful, but exquisite beauty. And Krishna actually, he describes actually Rupa Goswami that Krishna sees his actually form, the shadow in the jewel reflection, and he cannot believe himself. He's so beautiful. So if Krishna makes this statement, he cannot understand his own beauty, then how can any other transcendentalist, even a very pure devotee, can understand this? This is very interesting. He's so beautiful. He himself cannot understand by seeing the shadow. This is making 2 points. His shadow is not different from himself because he's trying to embrace his shadow. So, but he's so beautiful that even he cannot understand is he so beautiful. So that's it.
It's one of the 4, the Rupa Madhurya, which is the most sweet form, is one of those of the 4 qualities that only Krishna has.
Yes, yes. So he talks about even he cannot evaluate how beautiful he is. He happens to see his shadow in the reflection of jewels somewhere, like acting as a mirror. And he was surprised. That's how he makes the statement. So it's a very, very interesting, very, very interesting.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, the next verse we can go to.
अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशय स्थितः अहमादिक्षय मध्यम च भूतानामंत एव च. I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Mara Prabhu?
In this verse, Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesh, which means one who has conquered the darkness of sleep. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, it is not possible to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in various ways in the material and spiritual worlds. Thus, this address by Krishna to Arjuna is significant because Arjuna is above such darkness. The personality of Godhead agrees to describe his various opulences.
Sejal Mataji? Sejal Mataji.
Here?
Am
No.
I audible? Yeah, now it's a little bit audible, yeah. Maybe you want to come closer.
Okay. Krishna first informs Arjuna that he is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestation by dint of his primary expansion. Before the material creation, the Supreme Lord, by his plenary expansion, accepts the Purusha incarnation, and from him everything begins. Therefore, he is Atma, the soul of the Mahat Tattva, the universal elements. The total material energy is not the cause of the creation. Actually, the Mahavishnu enters into the Mahat Tattva, the total material energy. You want me to read further, Prabhu?
Okay.
He is the soul.
Deval?
He is the soul. When Mahavishnu enters into the manifested universes, he again manifests himself as the super soul in each and every entity. We have experienced that the personal body of the living entity exists due to the presence of the spiritual spark. Without the existence of the spiritual spark, the body cannot develop. Similarly, the material manifestation cannot develop unless the Supreme Soul, Krishna, enters. As stated in the Subala Upanishad, Prakriti Adi Sarva Bhutanar Yami Sarva Sesi Cha Narayana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is existing as a super soul in all manifested universes.
Mayur?
Sure. The three Purusha avatars are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. They are also described in the Narad Panchatantra, one of the Sattvata Tantras. Vishnu tu Truni, Rupani Purukshain Atho Vidu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests three features as Karanotoka Sat Sai Vishnu, Garbhodoka Sai and Vishnu, and Krishna Doka Sai Vishnu. In this material manifestation, the Mahavishnu or Karanodoka Sai Vishnu is described in the Brahma Smita Ya Karma Nasova Jale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidram, the Supreme Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes, lies down in the cosmic ocean as Mahavishnu. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the beginning of this universe, the maintainer of the universal manifestations, and the end of all energy.
Questions, thoughts? Yeah. So we can look at this. I thought we could look at the first paragraph first, because the first paragraph, we have this statement that Prabhupada's making. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, it's not possible to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in various ways in the material and spiritual worlds. That for the average person in this world, without full knowledge or understanding of how or who God is, they really can't understand just how the world is being pervaded and supported by the Supreme Lord. And actually, Krishna mentions this in a couple verses from the second chapter. One verse is verse 16. He says, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existence, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So that people who have real intelligence, that Krishna is telling Arjuna early in the Bhagavad Gita, they can see that the material body really in one sense doesn't even exist, because it comes and goes. It's just like, think of this, go outside tomorrow and watch a cloud and see it, watch it, and let it see as it blows across the sky, it changes shape and form. Come back about an hour later and see if you can find that cloud. It certainly still exists because the elements still exist, but in that form it doesn't exist. But the sky in which the cloud is it's stable. It's always there. So in the same way, the material body, it just comes and goes, but it's a soul that's eternal. So that's real. That's really there. It's really, that's not something that is like the cloud that is subject to simply becoming manifest and unmanifest. So that's, most people don't understand that. And there's another verse, the 69th verse of the second chapter, in which Krishna says, what is night for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-controlled, and a time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. In other words, as we become Krishna conscious and raise our consciousness, and Prabhupada actually gives this example here, there are two kinds of intelligent people. One who's good at manipulating the material energy to enjoy the senses, and the other who's introspective and thoughtful and tries to understand one's relationship with God. So as we become more introspective and Krishna conscious, those things which are considered to be nighttime for the average person, useless or not useful or helpful, will become those things useful for us, which is introspection and peace and chanting japa and hearing kirtan and becoming realized of our relationship with God. That's very important. Not just making money or becoming more materially well off. So that's the first paragraph of this purport. Really goes right to the point that Arjuna is called Gudakesh. He had conquered sleep, and Prabhupada's trying to make that connection here, that conquering sleep here means rising over the ignorance of being in this material world and thinking that this material world is a great place because I can try to exploit it. That I'm the body, that I am my mind, and that I'm going to get something out of this world for me. Actually, the only thing this world is really good for is to revive our Krishna consciousness so that we can serve Krishna. So that's the first paragraph. Now, that we can move on to the next paragraph because I think there's a lot said there. there any questions or comments, please speak whenever you have a thought, anyone.
Is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestation, right? So that's a super soul, Prabhuji, but then everyone has a soul too, right?
Well, yes, this is a very interesting point you're making here, because we could see that Krishna, that there's different forms of Vishnu, and each one of them, in a sense, is the super soul of a certain aspect of creation. First, we have Karanadakshayi Vishnu, or Mahavishnu, who glances over the material energy, which is called in its unmanifest state the Pradhan, which is, we could describe it to be like a lump of clay. It doesn't do anything, it just sits there. But when Mahavishnu glances into the Pradhan, he activates it by his glance and actually injects the living entities into the Pradhan, and it becomes the Mahatattva, which is the entire manifestation of all the material world. So that's Karanadakshayi Vishnu. So in a sense, he's like the super soul of the whole cosmic manifestation. That's all the universes. Then the next level of Vishnu is called Garbhadakshayi Vishnu. And Garbhadakshayi Vishnu is that form of Vishnu who lies on the bed of Sheshanaga, on the Garbha ocean, in each and every universe, each Brahmanda. And he lies there, and from his navel grows a lotus in which Lord Brahma, he resides. And then, of course, Lord Brahma is given empowerment by Garbhadakshayi Vishnu to create everything in one particular universe. He's like an engineer. So that Garbhadakshayi Vishnu is sort of we could call the super soul of an individual universe. But then Vishnu expands again into what's called Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, who resides as the super soul within each and every living entity's heart, and resides there giving direction. He's called Antaryami, the overseer and permitter. In other words, he oversees what we do, he permits what we do, and if we're intelligent and we are trying to raise our consciousness, he gives us the intelligence to make the right decisions if we can listen to him. But the super soul has a very special aspect. If we take shelter of a guru, that guru becomes the external manifestation of the super soul. In other words, we can't see super soul, but the guru can represent that super soul. So that's the different levels of Vishnu's manifestations, from Mahavishnu, that's the whole creation, to Garbhadakshayi Vishnu, the Lord of one particular universe, to Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, who is residing in the heart of each and every living entity.
And in everything.
Actually within every atom.
And in every atom.
He pervades everything.
Present everywhere. So sometimes we talk about my conscience is telling me not to do it or to do it. That is that we're listening to the super soul within the heart, and who is giving us instruction. Sometimes we know that something we shouldn't be doing because we have some kind of conscience, and that is the voice of the super soul.
But sometimes it's just not the voice of the super soul, in the sense that sometimes we get confused and we get and we think and our mind tells us things. That's why we need spiritual guides to confirm that we're listening to actually Krishna and not listening to some sort of delusion. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the cause of all causes, lies down. Yes, there we have. Oh, there's a cosmic ocean where Mahavishnu lies down too. So there's a Garbha ocean in each universe, and then there's a cosmic ocean. Both the Mahavishnu and the Garbhadakshayi Vishnu, they are in a state called Yoga Nidra, which is it's just they're always sleeping, and therefore we can understand that the Mahavishnu, in a sense, this material world is his dream, So we're living in the dream of the Lord.
Explained very well in Bhagavatam Canto 2, second canto.
Yes.
The cosmic manifestation, it gives a very good detail about all this.
Yes, it is. That actually, that second canto really does describe very well. That's a fact. What is called the secondary creation. Yes.
Yeah, we are still in Canto 1, Mataji.
There's plenty in every canto to give us plenty to think about.
Yeah,
Any,
this was also described, Prabhuji, right in the chapter 3 of Canto 1. Just
yes.
like the source of all incarnations is Lord Krishna, and this one is briefly described in that chapter as well.
Mm-hmm. Did Saki Priya Mataji, do you have something to add?
We can't hear you, Mataji.
That it is more nicely explained in there to understand. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. I was just adding up that it is more nicely explained in Canto 2, Canto 2, chapter 6.
Yes.
Yeah, just a summary in one.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that in all of Prabhupada's books, or in all these different books that we have had translated by Srila Prabhupada, there is the same information being repeated in many different places at different levels. So we have in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada called it the ABCs, and then you have the Srimad Bhagavatam, or Prabhupada called the graduate the studies, and then you have Chaitanya Charitamrita, which he called the postgraduate studies. But the point is that same points are being made in increasingly more complex or more detailed description, because we have so much just in this purport. It's really quite a bit for the average person who is not familiar with our philosophy. This is enough for a month.
Yeah.
So Prabhuji, why Chaitanya Charitamrita called the postgraduate study?
Because the Chaitanya Charitamrita contains all the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, but it's put into a context of how devotees in a society of devotees, in a sangha, living in that sangha, that is, in a community, actually put that philosophy into practice and help each other become fully Krishna conscious. You really see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita how Lord Chaitanya, either he teaches himself or he commissions others to do the teaching, how everyone coming in contact with him or his associates is given complete instruction on how to become Krishna conscious. It's a very interesting way of understanding the philosophy because it's alive. It's very dynamic.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is Srila Prabhupada's guru, said if he had to choose between 3 books, if she had to choose 3 books, he was like stranded on an island, and he could have 3 books. He would choose the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But if he had to choose 2, he would choose the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But if he had only one choice, he would choose the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, because everything that is in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Srimad Bhagavatam is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we have, this site where you're getting this information from, the Bhagavad Gita from, also has the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita books. So it is highly recommended that after the Srimad Bhagavatam, we read and study the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is also very, very sweet I'm full of devotion. I'm full of bhav. I'm full of prem.
I was just seeing who trying to call
So
me.
who was saying that, Mataji? I mean, that it was Swami Prabhupada?
Prabhupada wrote translated and wrote the commentary.
No, no.
of
Who
the
was
Chaitanya.
It was Bhaktisiddhanta said that.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is Srila Prabhupada's guru, he's the one who said that. And we know that Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is the culmination of all the transcendental knowledge. Very important collection of volumes, extremely important.
And Chaitanya Charitamrita is written by Krishna Das Kaviraj.
That's the
Yes.
author, yes.
And he just had his disappearance day a few days ago.
Yeah.
Also, it explains about Radha Bhav in Bhakti. Like
Yes.
in Bhagavatam, gopis are very briefly explained, but in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you understand Radha Bhav Bhakti.
Yes.
The gopis are named in the Srimad Bhagavatam. They don't have names.
Right.
In other words, the relationship of Krishna with the gopis is explained, but without deep details, and the details are found in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and other books by the Goswamis, especially Srila Rupa Goswami, who is our guide in this sampradaya. He's one of the most important persons.
We're beginning actually from Madhavendra Puri, Srila Madhavendra Puri. The Radha Bhav is being excavated by our Goswamis and our Acharyas. Okay, I guess we can do one more because this next one's not that long.
About Krishna, don't forget to talk about Krishna.
Yeah.
Ain't
Yeah.
Mother
Adityanaham Vishnu Jyotishamaraviranchuman Marichir Marutam Ashmi Nakshatra Anamaham Shashi. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marishi. And among the stars, I am the moon. Yeah?
There are 12 adhyas of which Krishna is the principal. Adityas of which Krishna is the principal. Along all the luminaries shining in the sky, the sun is the chief, and the Brahma Samhita, the sun is expected as the glowing eye of the Supreme Lord. There are 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of these winds, the controlling deity, Marshis, represents Krishna.
Mukesh?
Among the stars, the moon is the most prominent at night. Thus, the moon represents Krishna. It appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun. Go ahead.
It's okay. Manish Prabhu?
The sun is one, and as by the reflection of the sun, the moon illuminates, so also do the stars. Since Bhagwad Gita indicates herein that the moon is one of the stars, the twinkling stars are not suns, but are similar to the moon.
We don't need to debate astronomy in this class, so.
But in all these verses, in this verse and the verse that follows, what Krishna is describing is that which is the supremest highest of everything, and that's him. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Rishi. Among the stars, I am the moon. So the highest element of all these things that he's going to be mentioning, he is the topmost. Of all the mountains, I'm the Himalayas, etc. So in this way, he's giving an inkling of understanding to the person who is listening to this conversation or reading this conversation, that he is the topmost of everything through some material examples. Talk about the Krishna.
Okay. Oh, well, let's just finish and see what everyone wants to talk about. Are there any other thoughts or questions about this? I think Rudrani put it nicely, you know, that, you know, when we go walk outside at night, you see the moon, and it's pretty obvious that that's an important light. And in the daytime, no one can ignore the sun. These are very great aspects of obvious power. And so therefore, you know, we know that Krishna is, can be seen in those things. He says in other places too, I'm the light and the sun and the moon, you know, in other places also. So those are the points. And then Prabhupada makes another point in the second part of that paragraph, where he's referring to Vedic literature, and Vedic literature says certain things about the stars and the luminaries, which does not match with the modern understandings, and that's for our purposes of preaching and even for understanding the process of bhakti, not so important. I mean, we don't want to get hung up on that. For those who become disturbed by scientific issues, one of our friends who gets disturbed by these things, and I have to always talk to him about why you shouldn't be disturbed. And I asked him, I said, do you think that Jesus Christ is the Son of God? And he said, oh yeah, he's great. And he said, well, if you ask Jesus Christ a question about astronomy, do you think he would have the modern point of view? And he said, no, probably not. I said, well, would that mean you wouldn't accept him as the Son of God just because he couldn't describe, you know, the modern astronomical, you know, viewpoint? I mean, it's just not always in agreement. So those are not important for our spiritual understanding. I want to make, oh yeah, this is what we're coming into the Damodar Astika month, so we can listen to maybe at the end of the classes, the Damodar Astika each week.
Yes.
And I want to make another point is for those of you who don't know this is very sad news, that, you know, Krishna Nam is very sick. And in fact, he's in hospice care. He has been in the hospital for quite some time with a heart ailment, and the doctors have determined that there's nothing more they can do. So he's on palliative care. He's in his home. He's going to be discharged today. It should have been today. So beginning tomorrow, he'll be in his house, and we don't know how long he'll live, but he's not, his heart is so weak. He's living now because he's getting medication, and he'll continue to take that medication, but you can't live forever on that. So and his heart will not get better. He's not a candidate for a transplant because of his other comorbidities. He's got other diseases like diabetes. So we'll all pray for him. Hopefully we'll be able to visit him in the next few days or the next week, because in the hospital we couldn't because of the COVID restrictions. He was only able to get one visitor a day.
And he had a family member staying with him. But yeah, he's in he's coming to the end of his presence in this body. And so please, we ask everybody to say a prayer for him. Sri Damodar Ashtakam.
Thank you, Gajendra, again for facilitating these really nice meetings.
Yeah, and I'm just coordinating, Prabhuji. You are facilitating. So.
Well, without the coordinator, there's no facilitator.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, and as you said, you know, the Kartik month is starting tomorrow, and it's also called Damodar month. And generally, everyone does Damodar Ashtakam every day. But on Friday, we will hear that. So, we'll see.
Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam. Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Rajamanam. Yashodabhyolu Kaladhavamanam यशोदाभियोलुकलाधवमानं परामृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृत्य गोप्या नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानं नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्र युग्मं मृजन्तं कराम्भोजयुग्मेन सातं च नेत्रम् रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्र युग्मं मृजन्तं कराम्भोजयुग्मेन सातं च नेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्पात्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठ स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धं मुहुश्वासकम्पात्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठ स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धं नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानं नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् इतिर्दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषिताग्नेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे तदीयेषिताग्नेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानं नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेशादपीह वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेशादपीह इदं ते वपुर्नाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनस्या विरास्तां किमन्यै इदं ते वपुर्नाथ गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्या विरास्तां किमन्यै नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले रजमानम् इदं ते मुखाम्भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलय कृतं कुन्तलैः स्निग्धैरक्तैश्च गोप्या इदं ते मुखाम्भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलय कृतं कुन्तलैः स्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्या मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्य विरास्तं अलं लक्षलाभय मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्य विरास्तं अलं लक्षलाभय नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् देवदामोदरानन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालाभिमग्नं नमो देवदामोदर आनन्त विष्णु देवदामोदरानन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालाभिमग्नं कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यातिदीनं बतानु गृहाणि क्षमामज्ञं हेद्यक्षिदृश्य कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यातिदीनं बतानु गृहाणि क्षमामज्ञं हेद्यक्षिदृश्य नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् कुबेरात्मजौ बद्ध मूर्त्यैव यद्वा त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिभाजौ कृतौ च कुबेरात्मजौ बद्ध मूर्त्यैव यद्वा त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिभाजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमस्तेऽस्तु दाम्ने स्फुरादीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायाथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमस्तेऽस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरादीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायाथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तोभ्यं नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तोभ्यं नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम्.
Thank you, Gajendra.
Very beautiful.
Very nice.
There are great benefits from doing this puja every day for the next 30 days starting tomorrow. We started early thanks to Gajendra Prabhu. That's wonderful. That's very wonderful. If you want to offer a lamp in the evening or in the morning to Damodar Krishna for 30 days straight with this song, the benefits are incredible. I think I have a folder. I can send you all information about the benefits of doing this puja.
It's already Kartik month in India, Mataji, so we are starting.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. We start late here.
Gajendra Prabhu is always looking for bonus points. He is not satisfied with the basic benefits. He likes to have bonus benefits.
That's
very
the only
good.
point I survive on, Prabhuji. The basic
Hare Krishna.
So he will already have always excuse to get bonus. Today, he start living in America, getting the benefits from India, and then he will do again in the end. So one more additional benefit bonus at the end of the program.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Krishna's eyes, so it's all around. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. See you next.
Have a great weekend.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good to see everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare